Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to Steve and John. We have, of course, a very important announcement to make to celebrate another very special day in our relationship between Airbus and ALC. Steve is not just a great professional, very successful. He's an expert, if not a legend in this business, and we are very pleased that ALC is choosing our products. You will see which kind of product, but especially on the A330neo, this is a strong recognition of the quality of what we have just presented to you a few minutes ago. We are delighted to see the continuous growth of ALC. Steve, John, you add more Airbus aircraft to your catalog, and with that offering, it's a support to our own customers for a large choice of Airbus products from both the single aisle and wide body markets. And only 4 years ago, ALC started to do business and placed their first order for 51 A320 family aircraft. And right here at the air show in Farnborough, it was in July 2010. So this is a very successful growth and development, and we are very pleased to be part of it. May I hand over to you, Steve?
Thank you very much, Fabrice. Thank you. We appreciate all of you being here. As Fabrice indicated, today is a momentous day for Airbus and Air Lease Corporation. With the launch of the A330, 800 and 900 neo, we're very honored to announce that we are the first customer. We've signed a memorandum of agreement with Airbus this morning for 25 units, which will begin deliveries in 2018 to add to our wide-body lease portfolio. So we're very pleased to be the first launch customer for this airplane. We think it will be a superb follow-on to the A330 family, which has now been in operation over 20 years and has sold well over 1,000 aircraft. Anytime a wide-body twin-aisle aircraft sells more than 1,000 units, it's considered a commercial and aerospace success. So we're very honored to be part of this A330 follow-on program. Our team has ordered over 100 A330s during our careers, so this just reinforces our strong commitment to the A330neo program. In addition, and very important, we'd like to announce a firm order that was signed this morning by Air Lease and Airbus for 60 additional A321neo aircraft. And this will supplement the 50 that we've already ordered. So it takes our total A320 family neo orders, consisting primarily of A321neos, to 110 orders. Engine choice will be announced at a later date. Mr. Leahy, do you have any comments, suggestions?
You could always order some more. Okay.
Okay. Then I suggest we sign the...
But let me just, because I know we're going to get the question here. What is this worth? The price of a catalog price of a 330-900 is $275 million. If you then multiply that out, you get $6.9 billion. And if you add the 321s for 60 firm at $120 million each, you get $7.2 billion. So if you add those two numbers up, you get $14.1 billion. Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you. And if members of the media could loan us $20 each, we can at least make our first down payment to Airbus.
And the photographers can come up front.
a prototype.
You should have fixed the wing box.
Okay. Photographers, can you please give way? We start the Q&A session. First question in the room. To Andrea Rothman.
Yeah, good morning, Steve. A couple of years ago, Airbus was thinking of improving upon the A330 and adding to compete with the 787. And at the time, you told them not to do that, to go for this gold, not the silver, because you weren't happy with that configuration of the plane being offered, which they never offered. What's the difference between what they were talking about offering then and what they're actually doing today that you're endorsing the plane?
Yeah, I think that was 8 years ago, not a couple of years ago. But anyway, I think the market has evolved into two significant segments on the twin wide bodies in this 250 to 350 seat category. And one is the very long range capable airplanes, including the 787-9, the A350-900, the A350-1000, the 777-300ER. And then we've got a huge market that's probably 75 to 80% of all the wide body flights that are less than 8 hours. And that's where the A330 has done very well. And that's where we see the A330neo with its 14 to 15% lower fuel burn, lower operating cost, and more advanced capabilities in terms of aerodynamics and some of the systems improvements. So this airplane will extend the family life at least another 20, 25 years. So it serves a different segment of the market than what we had envisioned, the original A350 XWB.
Next question, Robert Wall. Max Kingsley afterwards, Robert Wall.
Steve, Max Kingsley Jones from Flight Global. I was going to ask you what engine you'd chosen for your A330neos, but it seems you don't have a choice. I just wondered how you felt about that. I know you were talking once before about hoping to have a second option.
Yeah, I'll be very honest with you. We of course, were campaigning for two engine choices. We did a lot of market research to demonstrate that we see demand for more than 1,100 aircraft in this category over the next 16, 17 years until the end of the next decade. Rolls-Royce, I think, agreed with our position, and so did Airbus, but General Electric felt that the market maybe is not as large for the A330neo as a lot of other experts in the industry felt. It was there, and in the end, I think Rolls-Royce and Airbus came together and were able to forge a arrangement that I think is very satisfactory to the customers.
Next question to Robert Wall.
Yeah, just slightly more mundane, I guess. Just when do you expect to get the delivery time frame for your 330neos? And also, I guess from what John told us, you're just buying 900s. Do you see yourself as a buyer of the 800 at some point?
Delivery time frame, our first units start in 2018. And yes, the order is primarily for the A330-900. However, we do have the ability, based upon customer demand, to select the A330-800 as well.
Andrea Rossman.
Yeah, a follow-up for Steve. You talked about 75 to 80% of the flights under 8 hours go to this category of plane. Do you have any idea what percentage of overall wide-body flights are under 8 hours versus over 8 hours?
John, do you have some? You guys have done a lot.
I think you're right about the 75 to 80% are clearly under the 8 hours. The average for a 330 today is about 2,500.
All wide-body flights, how many are above 8 hours and how many are below?
Well, if 78% are under 8 hours, then the other are in excess of that.
Andrea, let me just also add that the largest growing marketplace continues to be Asia Pacific, and that's where you see the largest growth in that sector, sub 8 hours. So whether you're going from Beijing to Vietnam or down to Sydney, etc. That this airplane is optimized from that. So when we looked at the largest growth market conceivably for the next 10 to 15 to 20 years, this specific segment, this specific range hits that sweet spot.
We see A330s today that operate from Europe to, say, Vancouver, British Columbia. So it's a great transatlantic airplane. It can operate virtually all of the transatlantic routes from the East Coast, Midwest, southern tier of the U.S. And that's the largest segment of the transatlantic market. Also Eastern Canada, Central Canada. From North America to South America. It can do everything from Europe to the Gulf area and from the Gulf into the eastern part of Asia. So it's a very versatile airplane, with 6,000 nautical miles of range. So it is a 13-hour airplane, but most of the missions are not that long.
Yeah, and let's emphasize, as Fabrice and John indicated when they did their earlier press conference, let's also not forget there is a compelling price difference between this A330neo and any other wide body. Any other wide body. And you cannot divorce that from the equation. I'm not prepared to talk about quantities, how much, etc., but suffice to say, as a large buyer of aircraft, that price difference is compelling, and I think it was a very smart move, a very astute move on the part of Airbus, both industrially and in terms of serving the market, to capture this idea and to be able to have a very attractively priced twin-aisle next-generation aircraft.
The three largest cost components of running an international airlines are fuel, capital cost of the equipment, and labor. And I think Airbus has addressed two of those very effectively here.
Next question to Dominic Gates.
First, a quick clarification from Steve. You said a market for 1,100 of these shorter range wide bodies, correct?
No. What I said is that our studies, and we did an extensive market survey with many of our airline customers, indicated 1,100 aircraft demand between now and the end of the next decade for the A330neo, specifically for the A330neo.
Okay, and so the 787-10, for example?
No, that's in addition.
That's in addition. Okay.
No, this is only the A330neo.
Just add for Fabrice, in 2006, when you made the decision on Steve's advice to go for the A350, with hindsight now, with today we see the A350-800 about to fade away, would it have been better to make the A350 family a little bigger and have done this Neo then, and then your lineup would have spanned everything?
No, I don't think so. The 350, 900 and -1000, I think, are very well positioned on the market. And as Steve said, the market is changing. The priorities are different. And by the way, with 330neo today is much better than the original 350 8 years ago, because we have also continuously improved the 330. It was not the case 8 years ago. So we cannot compare, and we have no regret at all. I think the 350 family is exactly where it should be.
Also keep in mind that from the moment the A350-900 XWB was announced, the A330 has sold better than virtually any other wide-body aircraft.
That's right.
The production rates went up. Demand for the A330 actually increased significantly after the A350 was announced.
Next question to John Ostrower, Wall Street Journal.
Steve, as you look at this purchase and the growth in more intra-Asia, sort of 4,000, 5,000 mile routes, certainly Boeing is not welcoming the 330 with open arms and great enthusiasm, but certainly I'm curious what you would like to see Boeing's competitive response to be, certainly as far as an aircraft of equal range for similar missions.
Well, the Boeing 767 is facing sunset as the tanker program rolls out. I think Boeing recently delivered the last passenger airline 767-300ER. So basically they have the 787 family with the -8, -9, -10, and they have the 777-300ER and the 777X, which of course is in a different category. So the only way Boeing can respond is by making the 787-9 production costs more efficient, and delivering more flexibility to the operators that do not require all of the payload range capability of the Dash 9. That's really the only way that Boeing can respond. But I don't believe they can close the pricing gap in any significant fashion because the A330 is already a mature program. Most of the development costs have already been absorbed. And so this is a relatively minor step up compared to building an all-new airplane.
Next question to Andrea Rossman.
Steve, you mentioned that the 7X category is an entirely different category. Would you like to see Airbus do something additional in that area, maybe doing an 1100 on the 350? I know that's something John has talked about from time to time at conferences.
Well, I think Boeing is working with its customers. Airbus is working very closely with its main customers on the wide-body front, and I think as Fabrice said, it's a constant improvement program on all their models. I think they're studying all of the evolutionary possibilities on the A350 family, trading off cost versus demand and overall economics. And this is, I think, something that's an ongoing evaluation within Airbus on how to optimize the A350 family.
Is there any other question in the room? Yes, please.
Good morning and congratulations on your orders.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you about India. ALC is not very active in India. What do you feel with this aircraft and reduced capital costs?
Get him up here.
Our managing director for India is in the second row over here.
Could you stand up?
Kishore.
Kishore, would you please stand up? This is our senior vice president for India.
Okay.
But I think, look, I think at the end of the day, the Indian marketplace has gone through a very a transition. It's gone through a lot of crisis. Too many carriers. The Indian airlines still are paying a large fuel surcharge, which I think they're trying to correct. But I think at the end of the day, overall market forces work in India just as they work elsewhere. We place our bets on our customers where we think our aircraft can make them money. What we've learned after many years, it doesn't really matter what our lease says. What really matters is, can the customers make money with our aircraft? And I think many Indian airlines can make money with this aircraft. So we will continue to make placements in India and elsewhere based upon our assessment of demand, long-term profitability, and what any specific airplane can do for any of the specific carriers over there.
You're also a customer who bought the 787-10.
Mm-hmm.
Could you compare the two aircraft? Is it just purely capital cost, or is there something more?
No, I mean the 787-10 is a bigger capacity. It has more range. It's designed, as Steve indicated earlier, for a longer range market segment, a bigger market segment. So the 777, 300 has been a good airplane. The 787-10 will be a natural iteration, natural growth product. But we're really here to celebrate more the A330neo and the A321neo. So I don't want to develop, too much time to the Boeing products. We're all in a competitive environment, but I think at the end of the day, our relationship with Airbus here, our belief in the A330neo speaks for itself. One thing is true in this industry. We are seeing more product evolution at a faster pace based on technology, and we think that'll continue.
And this will be a good airplane out of India. It can go from any major airport in India to Europe or any destination in Asia.
My home airport is
And the final question goes to Andrew Parker, FT.
Question for John Leahy, please. So you said the list price on the 330-900neo is 275 mil, yeah? So what is the 330neo 800 list price, please?
Let me get back to you. I've got on my sheet here 242, but I think there might be a typo on that. I want to verify that. We'll give you a call this afternoon.